คุณผู้ชมคะศาสตราจารย์โจเซฟสติกลิตนักเศรษฐศาสตร์รางวัลโนเบลได้เตือนไทยเตือนเอเชียแล้วนะคะว่าอย่าเดินซ้ำรอยความผิดพลาดที่เกิดขึ้นกับประเทศตะวันตกมาแล้วกับการพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจแบบทุนนิยมโลกาภิวัตน์นะคะที่เน้นการบริโภคอย่างสุดโต่งทำให้ผู้คนขณะนี้เต็มไปด้วยเรื่องของการจับจ่ายใช้สอยและทำให้สังคมเต็มไปด้วยปัญหาเรื่องของความไม่เท่าเทียมกันในสังคมค่ะดิฉันเลยถามต่อนะคะว่าถ้าไม่ให้เดินตามประเทศตะวันตกนโยบายประชานิยมอย่างที่ประเทศเอเชียประเทศไทยใช้อยู่กำลังส่งผลเสียอะไรบ้าง
If you mean by populist policies that are aimed at increasing the standard of living of most citizens, like improving their health, that can be very important. If you mean underinvestment in the basic investments, irrigation, rural roads, and things that are going to lead to long-term prosperity, and instead of making those long-term investments, you just give people money, or you subsidize, say, the price they get for their grain. That's not going to be sustainable. So that's why it's very important to keep discussing, is this policy sustainable? Is it leading to future growth so that future citizens in the country will have a higher standard of living? Are you compromising the future?
Let's say the Thai government give away tablet for primary students. Do you think that is considered one of populist policies?
That's a good question. If the tablet does not cost very much, if the tablet is produced, say, in Thailand, is creating employment in Thailand, and if the tablet leads to better education outcomes, which means that you have to have teachers who are well-trained, you have to have the programs that deliver educational quality, then it can be an important investment for the future. But if you just give it away and they play games, then it's not an investment, it's a toy. Then that's compromising the future because you could have spent the money in developing something that would improve educational outcomes. So that's a hard question that you'll have to have your educational experts and try to assess, is this really a toy or is this really something that's going to improve the quality of education?
Thailand is now counting down to ASEAN community, 10 ASEAN countries. What should we be aware of not to repeat the same mistake that European Union, Eurozone countries are facing?
The big mistake they made was creating a common currency prematurely, before there was political consensus, before they had the institution that would make a single currency work. So that's the first very important lesson. A second lesson is that if you have free migration, but you don't have sufficient tax harmonization, you can get movement for tax avoidance. And that can undermine tax bases and undermine the ability to have progressive taxation.
That's dangerous.
That's very dangerous because it leads to a more divided society, more inequality.
What should the world be aware of this rising economic power, China and US, because they are competing on many terms?
Well, I think the important thing there is that we are going to have to change our international institutions, because they were created at the end of World War II when most of the developing world were colonies. They were, even if they were independent, they weren't very strong, they were very weak. We've begun the transition, but it's been a very hard, slow process. And so we're going to have to change these global institutions to give more voice to the new countries.
Do you mean to restructure World Bank, IMF, these
That's
two
right.
big institutions?
Yeah. change the governance to get more voice to the developing countries. For instance, the World Bank and the IMF, there was, I thought, at the G20 meetings, an agreement that the next head should be chosen on the basis of merit and not be automatically from the US and the EU. Didn't happen.
เป็นนักเศรษฐศาสตร์ฝีปากกล้านะคะขึ้นชื่อเรื่องกล้าวิพากษ์วิจารณ์องค์กรระดับระหว่างประเทศอย่างตรงไปตรงมาค่ะเคยถูกธนาคารโลกสั่งปลดออกจากงานแล้วถึงแม้ว่าจะเป็นที่ปรึกษาในเชิงนโยบายนะคะเพราะว่าไปวิพากษ์นโยบายของธนาคารโลกแต่ศาสตราจารย์โจเซฟสติกริตก็ได้รับการขึ้นชื่อนะคะว่าเป็นนักเศรษฐศาสตร์ที่ได้รับการอ้างอิงมากที่สุดในโลกค่ะ